Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to part 2 of the Pokemon Blue walkthrough, where the first thing we're going to be taking a look at doing is having a bit of a rival fight with just our Charmander, no other Pokemon. Wonder exactly why that is. Well, it has something to do with what I talked about in the first part as far as like a hidden item goes within this game. So one thing that this game essentially does not do that every other game kind of does is once you are able to start capturing Pokemon, usually the professor will give you 5 Pokeballs for free, just so then, you know, you have an early start. Not so much in this game, or at least I thought, until I originally wanted to do the walkthrough a year ago and then came back and did it this year, where there actually is a way that Professor Oak will give you 5 Pokeballs for free. The way that you do this is that you have to fight against your rival with just one Pokemon. Okay, you cannot have any other Pokemon in your inventory, and you cannot have a Pokeball in your inventory, which is why we ignored that one item in the Viridian Forest, because it itself was a Pokeball. If you pick that up, then when you talk to Professor Oak after defeating your rival, he will not give you 5 free Pokeballs. Okay, so once again, the only way to get the 5 for free is to make sure that you do not have a Pokeball in your inventory and that you do not have, obviously, another Pokemon with you. Okay, so you can't get that free Pokeball in the forest. You can't buy Pokeballs at the mart. You have to make sure that you don't, and that you just go straight out of your way to fight your rival whenever you can. The reason why I did the Viridian Forest first is to make sure that my Charmander was able to beat the 2 Pokemon just by himself, especially against a Squirtle that now then knows Bubble, and as you saw right there, almost took me out, got really lucky there, and was able to fend off for ourselves. But yeah, now that we have now that our rival is out of the way, we're able to go talk to Professor Oak and get 5 Pokeballs for free. Now, obviously, if you don't care about getting 5 Pokeballs for free, then you don't really have to do any of this. You can just buy some out of the mart, get the one for free in the Viridian Forest, whatever. But again, as you know, this is a walkthrough looking to show off every single item, including the hidden items. I went on my way to make sure that you guys knew that, hey, there is, 5 free Pokeballs that you can get just sitting with Professor Oak, and I find it very weird that he just doesn't give them to you anyways. The fact that you have another Pokemon on your team, or the fact that you have a Pokeball in your inventory, he has like a present of the Pokeballs that he looks to give you, and when you walk in, he sees that you already bought a Pokeball or have another Pokemon, he's like, oh, I'm just gonna put this away and, go cries in a corner or something like that, because, he bought you a special gift of 5 Pokeballs and you don't even get them anymore. But yeah, he makes a statement, you can't capture Pokemon if you don't have Pokeballs to work on the Pokedex. So here you go. Here's 5 on me, go out of your way to capture them, and then, you'll go out of your way to get some. Again, not needed. Very convoluted way to get them, and again, I don't blame anybody if they don't want to go through all that just to get 5 Pokeballs for free, but hey, you know what? Free is free. I'll take it. What else can you do? So, in part 2, we're also looking to go ourselves into the Pewter City and take on the Pewter City Gym Leader. First Gym Leader right out of the way. Now, with that comes another little set of, hey, we'll better explain this before some people get a little bit irksome at him. So, one thing that I pretty much make sure that I do is that if I have to suffer through something, everyone has to suffer through something. Now, not so much as far as suffering as trying to catch a Pokemon, especially when it only has a certain % chance of being caught. And minutes later. It literally did take 20 minutes to run to a male Nidoran. But hey, check it out, we got ourselves a male Nidoran. No, we don't, because I completely took it off. But eventually I do go on my way and get myself a male Nidoran. Now, I do not have the percentages on me, which is actually really bad on me, so I'm going to look that up really quick, because I completely forgot that I went on my way to capture a Pokemon here. And I believe this is Route 22, if I am not mistaken. Let's see what we got here. Does this look right? Yes, it does. So anyways, Route 22 as far as Gen 1 goes. Rattata in the red and blue version, a 50% chance to catch it. Yellow version, 10% chance. Spearow, red and blue version, 10% chance to catch, with a 10% chance on the yellow version as well. Nidoran, red version, 5% chance. 35% chance of the blue version and 25% chance in the yellow version. That's the female. The male version, red, 35% chance to catch, 5% chance to catch in blue. That's why it took me so long. 35% chance to catch in the yellow, and a Mankey, 20% chance to catch it in the yellow version only. Eventually, when you start, you're able to start fishing for Pokemon, these are what you'd be looking at. I think I should probably go over the fishing percentages right now as well, because I will not remember to go back and talk about the fishing capture percentages. But on Route 22, with just an old rod, 100% chance you're going to catch yourself a Magikarp. You have a good rod, you have a 50% chance to catch a Poliwag, 50% chance to catch a Goldeen. And with the super rod, red and blue version, 50% chance to catch a Poliwag, 90% chance in the yellow version, 10% chance to catch a Poliwhirl in the yellow version only, and a 50% chance to catch a Goldeen in the red and blue versions, okay? Mostly want to get the fishing ones out of the way because I don't think I'll ever remember when I do get a fishing rod to go back and talk about what Pokemon you can get then, so I might as well get it out of the way right then and there. But yes, I now have a Nidoran on my team, and I've beefed it up because, yes, I am going to get myself a Nidoking. Generally, the way I'm probably going to look at doing this, and the same goes for future Pokemon walkthroughs, is that I'm essentially going to be looking to have a team that, yes, mostly does focus on that generation, but sometimes also focuses on just like favorite Pokemon of mine from that specific generation. Obviously, you heard me say, yeah, Charmander, my go-to starter. There you go. Nidoking, another one of my favorite go-to Pokemon when it comes to Gen 1 as well. The rest of my team, I also try to go on my way to make them different from generation to generation, but in some cases, it's not going to be 100% different. There is going to be one Pokemon, which I'm pretty sure everyone's going to scream at the top of their lungs what Pokemon it is I'm talking about. But there is at least one that I did use before, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows who that is, but, you know, whatever. It's one of my favorite Pokemon ever, so of course I'm going to use it whenever I have the chance to do so. I have not started working on my walkthrough for Gen 3 just yet, because I want to get to some other games as well, but when I get to Gen 3, you know, who knows, it's going to be all up in the air. Again, mostly especially looking towards Pokemon that I did beat that generation with. So in some cases it did mean using Pokemon from older generations, but I do try to go my way to try and focus on having a team more of that specific generation, maybe a couple from the previous generations, whatever. We'll see how that goes. But anyways, so what was I talking about when I said, you know, there was like something that I'd make the viewers suffer through just because I had to suffer through it? Well, in some cases, this pretty much means getting sand attacked to death, to where my accuracy gets so bad that sometimes it just takes, 20 chances for me to finally hit the Pokemon. The way I see it is, I had to suffer through missing all the time. You guys have to suffer through watching me miss all the time, because I am not going to suffer alone. If I get paralyzed, if I get confused, and my Pokemon's beating itself in the face for 5 turns, or then gets paralyzed the other 5, and that does happen, where I do get confused and paralyzed in the same battle, and I show it off entirely, because I'm not going to be the only one that has to suffer through it. Now, the only other thing is that, and I really kind of spiked my microphone a little bit there. Sorry about that, guys. But anyways, yeah, there are some times where my impatience does come back and bites me in the ass sometimes during this walkthrough. And you guys will see that. But there is also some times where the amount of time I've been away from Pokemon also kind of comes to rear its ugly head at me. And that's going to be more noticed when going against Brock. I think eventually I just give up and just throw in Nidoran instead, because, again, I just miss left, right, and sideways. Oh, finally got it. Woo! Charmander, you go, buddy. Anyway, so yeah, if I have to suffer, you guys have to suffer too. I am not going to speed up portions of the video where I miss 200 attacks in a row, because it's like, hey, I suffer, you guys suffer too. You can not like me for doing it, whatever. But we got our Charmander finally evolving. So, good boost in stats, all that other good stuff. Unfortunately, I kind of mishandle the Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard evolutions a little bit, and I cut out me going back to Pokemon Center to heal them up, because obviously, when you can't hit your opponent ever and they just keep swiping at your face, it's going to take a while. But anyways, we are now going against our first gym leader in Brock, the first gym leader ever. So, what does he lead off with? Leads off with a Geodude, level 12, only 2 moves though, Tackle and Defense Curl. Basically, he's just going to look to beef himself up and just hit you whenever he can. Now, I try to use Nidoran at first, I try to lure it down, but and again, this just shows how long it's been since I have played Pokemon, where I was like, I'm just going to leer him a bit and then use Horn Attack to try and get Nidoran a little bit of experience. Another thing that really becomes a little bit repetitive that I do is that I try to keep all my Pokemon around the same playing field level-wise. I don't want like one Pokemon to jump ahead of the others, but then at least the stuff like this, where I'm trying to Horn Attack a Rock Ground type and it's just not working, when instead I could be taking advantage of the fact that Geodude does not have the best special and just Ember him half to death, you know, just whatever. You know, what can you do half the time? Later on, that even goes further towards Brock's next Pokemon, where while he's using Bide, I essentially leer him to death. But then it's like, okay, and this is stuff that I realized like in middle of recording, because I get so tired when recording sometimes, and it's been so long since I last played Pokemon that I eventually sat there and told myself, what the hell am I doing? Because we're going against an Onix, another rock ground type. Surprisingly, for being a rock gym, doesn't have any rock style moves, because this Onix at level 14 only has Tackle, Screech, Bide, and Bind. So Bide, basically, he'll just sit there, and then every attack that you do on him, he retaliates with, I think, double or triple the power. One of those two. But anyways, just sends it back in tenfold. So generally what you want to do during this time is you want, if you're faster, which you're always going to be against an Onix at this point in the game, you're going to get an easy attack on them. And then when he uses Bide, you're going to want to use any kind of attack that doesn't do any physical harm to him. Problem is, if you're like me and you're sitting there and you're trying to leer him to death, well, guess what? I'm lowering his defense, but, you know, Ember is a fire, is a special, so it doesn't matter. I'm not really doing anything extra with that, and I could have been doing other deals, but hey, you know what? Get it done, get it out of the way. I think there are some other aspects where I kind of use one move and then later on realize another move is better. Again, that's just kind of one of those. I've been away from Pokemon for a while, as well as the times that I'm recording these, I sometimes zone out. I get really tired. You might see it in the first part. I just walk straight up because I think I'm going right through a door and I'm watching something else, and then all of a sudden I hear myself running into a wall a couple times, and then, oh look, I've been running into a wall for the past like second or so. You know, there's going to be a lot of those because I zone out quite easily, and there's just so much to do in a day. It's really tough, but that should do it for this part. And yes, there's the fade out in its own right. So yes, that's going to do it for part 2, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you enjoy us picking up our very first gym win. I didn't really talk about the TM, but the TM that he gives you is Bide, Gen 1 onward until Gen 5, I believe. TMs are a one-time use only. A little bit annoying. Thank God Gen 5, they kind of retconned that and said, oh, you can use as many times as you want kind of thing. That was pretty cool. But back then it was a really big, like, you got to make sure that, you know, you're actually using, you know, a TM the way that you want to, because you can only use it one time. Gives you Bide. Not a huge deal. We're not really going to be using it ever. Anyways, I've been talking too long. Enjoy your evenings. Catch you guys on the next part.